Okay, let's dive right in. Picture this. Mumbai's Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust, JNPT. It's one of India's absolute busiest ports, right?
Yeah,
Think global trade lifeline.
absolutely vital.
Now imagine ours 800 crore rupees just vanishing. We're talking roughly 95 million US dollars, allegedly siphoned off in this really complex web of deceit.
And it sounds like something straight out of a movie, but this is happening right now. It's very real.
Exactly. And the shocking part, the real bombshell, came from the CBI, the Central Bureau of Investigation.
Hmm.
They revealed that Tata Consulting Engineers, TCE, I mean, a name you associate with trust, with top-tier
A
engineering.
huge name, globally recognized, part of the Tata Group.
Right. They're now deeply, deeply implicated in this massive scandal.
And that's what's really sending shockwaves, isn't it? It's not just any company. It challenges that perception of integrity we associate with, well, with Tata.
It really does. So our mission today is to, unpack this. We want to get into what allegedly went wrong, who the key players are.
How the supposed cartel managed to operate for, what was it, 16 years?
16 years, right under everyone's noses. And crucially, why this isn't just some distant news story. This actually impacts you listening right now.
It really does. It hits your wallet. It affects your trust in these big institutions.
Definitely. So to get the full picture, we need to understand the setting first. JNPT.
Yeah, JNPT isn't just another port. It handles something like 60% of India's total cargo. 60%.
Wow. So it's truly the economic lifeline for the country.
You could say that. It's the main gateway connecting India to global markets and vice versa. Its efficiency or inefficiency directly impacts the whole economy.
And at the heart of this whole mess was this big project, the capital dredging project.
Right. The goal was pretty straightforward, but really important for India's trade ambitions.
Which was?
Basically, to make the port deeper and wider. Dredging the navigational channels so those enormous container ships, the really big ones, could come in and out easily, fully loaded.
Ah, okay. So bigger ships, more cargo, boosting trade.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Exactly. It was supposed to boost India's capacity, strengthen our economic muscle globally, to accelerate progress.
Not line pockets, presumably.
Precisely. And this wasn't a quick job either. It happened in 2 phases.
Right, I saw that. Phase 1 was.
Phase I started way back in 2003, ran until 2014, and Phase 2 kicked off in 2013 and finished up in 2019.
So spanning almost 2 decades in total.
Yeah, and that long time frame is actually pretty critical. It helps explain how such an alleged systematic manipulation could potentially take root and just flourish for so long.
Okay, so that brings us to the core allegations. This is where TCE comes in, Tata Consulting Engineers.
And they were brought in as the PMC, the project management consultant.
So their job was basically oversight.
Exactly. They were the expert overseers, the watchdogs, supposed to handle everything from planning, feasibility, preparing tender documents, right through to execution and checking the payments, making sure it was all fair, transparent, above board.
The guardians of the project, essentially, providing solutions, ensuring integrity.
That was the idea. But the CBI's case, filed just recently, June 18th, 2025, it alleges something very different.
What do they say?
They're accusing TCE, along with certain JNPT officials and 2 big international dredging companies,
Which ones?
Boskalis Smith India LLP and Yandanol Dredging India Private Limited. The CBI alleges they formed a cartel.
A cartel,
Yeah.
so not just negligence, but active conspiracy.
That's the allegation. A deliberate, coordinated effort to manipulate this vital public project for, private gain.
And the alleged result, that staggering number again.
Ours 800 crore, lost to the public purse. Just think what that could fund. New roads, schools, hospitals.
Instead, it allegedly vanished. The CBI says it involved systematic overdredging, fake claims, and a completely skewed tender process.
And that it went on for 16 years. 16 years.
That timescale is just mind-blowing. How does something like that happen for so long?
Well, it points to some serious, deep-seated problems, doesn't it? Systemic weaknesses, maybe? Blind spots that allowed this alleged operation to just keep going, largely unchecked.
It really makes you question the checks and balances. Okay, let's talk about the who. Who's actually in the CBI's crosshairs here?
Right, the cast of characters. First, there's Sunil Kumar Madhavi. He was the chief manager for planning and development at JNPT back then.
And his alleged role?
The accusation is he conspired to rig the process, basically steering public money towards this alleged scheme.
Okay, who else?
Then you have Devdutt Bose. He was a senior general manager at TCE itself, and the project director.
So right at the heart of it from the consultant's side.
Exactly. Allegedly pulling the strings, making decisions to favor specific bidders. His alleged involvement is key, suggesting it wasn't just passive oversight, but active manipulation from within PCE.
And then TCE itself,
Yeah.
the company.
Yes, Tata Consulting Engineers, the consultancy giant part of the Tata empire, known globally for engineering projects, now facing accusations of facilitating a cartel. It's a huge blow to that carefully built reputation.
Absolutely. And the dredging companies.
Boskalis Smith India and Crore Dredging India. They formed a joint venture, the BSI JDN JV. They're the ones who actually got the dredging contracts.
Through what the CBI alleges was a rigged process.
Yes, like the game was fixed from the start. Hand-picked, allegedly.
And the CBI isn't stopping there, are they? They mentioned others.
That's right. The investigation includes unknown public servants and private persons. That suggests the net might be wider. They could be looking at a more intricate network.
So this could get even bigger.
Potentially. And the charges are serious.
Mm.
Criminal conspiracy, cheating, corruption under the Prevention of Corruption Act. These aren't minor things.
No. And the CBI has already made moves, right? Raids.
Raids on 5 locations in Mumbai and Chennai. They seized documents, digital devices. It shows they're pursuing this aggressively.
Okay, so let's get into the how, the modus operandi. How did they allegedly pull off, as you called it, this masterclass in misdirection? Rigging the tenders seems key.
It does. The CBI mentions complementary bidding. What does that actually mean in practice?
Well, it sounds technical, but it's basically fake competition. Bidders secretly agree on who will win and submit bids accordingly. One puts in a high bid, others put in even higher ones, or bids with conditions they know won't be accepted.
So it looks competitive, but it's actually pre-decided.
Exactly. It kills genuine competition. And they allegedly went further, tailoring the tender documents themselves.
How so?
Loading them with really stringent, specific criteria, almost impossible for anyone else to meet. Designed, allegedly, to exclude Indian firms and ensure only their preferred international players, like Boskalis and Nehru, could qualify.
Like writing the rules of a race so only one person can win.
Precisely. And once they had the contracts, the costs apparently ballooned. Inflated estimates, over dredging.
Huge amounts. The CBI alleges excess payments of, Rs 365.90 crore in Phase I alone?
And another Rs 438 crore in Phase 2, mostly due to alleged over-dredging and inflated costs.
It's like billing for work that just wasn't done or wasn't needed on that scale.
And did no one notice? Were there no checks?
That's another disturbing part. The CBI claims independent experts did raise red flags. They submitted reports pointing out these very issues.
What?
But those warnings were allegedly ignored, or worse, actively suppressed, buried.
So dissent was silenced. That speaks volumes.
It really does. Then there were allegedly false claims submitted by the contractors.
How much are we talking?
Claims worth around Rs 348 crore allegedly fudged. And they supposedly used outdated software for the pre-dredge surveys.
Outdated software. How does that lead to overpayment?
If the survey data is inaccurate, it can make it look like more dredging is needed than actually is. That allegedly led to another Rs 430 crore in excess payments.
Wow. It's like layer upon layer of alleged manipulation.
And add to that, alleged violations in setting the rates for dredging different types of rock or soil. Manipulating those rates also contributed to delays and higher costs overall.
So a project meant to boost the economy allegedly became a cash cow for a select few.
That's the picture the CBI is painting. Deeper channels in the port, but a much deeper hole in the public's finances.
Let's talk about the Tata angle again. Because the Tata name means so much in India. Trust, integrity.
It's almost synonymous with it for many people, from everyday goods to complex tech. It's a cornerstone of Indian industry.
So having TCE, a Tata company, caught up in this, it's not just another corporate scandal, is it?
No, it's much bigger than that.
Yeah.
It shakes public confidence at a really fundamental level. If you can't trust Tata, who can you trust? It creates a crisis of faith almost.
And it's not the first time a Tata company has faced CBI scrutiny recently, is it?
That's true. There was that case in 2022 involving Tata Projects executives and alleged bribery related to the Power Grid Corporation. Plus, other challenges the group has faced. It highlights a difficult period.
Now, to be clear, TCE was the consultant here, right? Not the actual dredger.
Correct. They were providing the expertise, the oversight, but the allegation is they weren't just failing at oversight, they were actively part of the scheme.
Cooking up a scheme rather than solutions, as the allegation goes.
Precisely. And the potential damage to the Tata brand, built over generations, is immense. It forces serious questions about internal controls, oversight, within the conglomerate itself.
What checks and balances failed or were allegedly bypassed? That's the big question for them.
Absolutely. How does a group like that manage this? And what does it say about the vulnerability of these huge infrastructure projects overall?
Okay, so what about the government's reaction? The Ministry of Ports, Shipping, and Waterways is talking about reforms, right?
Yes. Pledges to overhaul the tendering process, tighter guidelines, better audits, maybe using tech like AI or blockchain to track things, whistleblower protections too.
It sounds good on paper. Stricter rules, more transparency, tech
It
solutions.
does. They're talking about preventing similar conflicts, which is, the right language.
Well, call me cynical. We've heard promises like this before after big scams, haven't we? 2G, Colgate.
That's the skepticism, exactly. We've seen reform promises often fade or get watered down. The real test is implementation. Will these changes be rigorously enforced? Will they stick?
Or will they just be filed away somewhere? And meanwhile, JNPT itself, silence.
Conspicuous silence. No official statement, no explanation, nothing. Which feels inadequate, to say the least.
And that silence, that lack of accountability, brings us back to why this matters to everyone listening.
Right. You might think, okay, big money, big companies, far away, but it's not far away at all.
First off, the money. That 800 crore, that's taxpayer money, your money, my money.
Money that could have gone into schools, hospitals, roads, essential public services. Instead, it allegedly filled private pockets. That's a direct hit.
And it's not just taxes. JNPT handles so much cargo.
60%. When scams inflate costs at a port like that, it ripples through the entire supply chain. Higher logistics costs, higher costs for businesses using the port, and ultimately, higher prices for you on everyday goods. Everything from electronics to food potentially gets more expensive. It affects your cost of living.
Then there's the trust factor. When a name like Tata is involved, institutions you rely on, it erodes public faith.
Deeply. If you can't trust the big names, the regulators, the overseers, it creates cynicism, disillusionment.
And looking bigger picture, India's future, how does this affect overall growth?
Well, if major infrastructure projects are constantly plagued by scams, bleeding money, it holds back the entire economy. Fewer jobs, slower progress, fewer opportunities for everyone. It's a drag on national potential.
And the irony, we're pushing Make in India, right? Encouraging local businesses.
Exactly. But if alleged cartels are rigging bids and shutting out honest Indian firms from competing for these massive projects, it completely undermines that push. It's like shooting ourselves in the foot.
So yeah, this JNPT dredging scam, it's way more than just a headline. It's a huge wake-up call.
It shows how greed can potentially infect even the most respected names, and how systemic flaws can let it fester for, well, over a decade.
The CBI is investigating, which is good, but it really comes down to us, doesn't it? Demanding more transparency, better oversight, ethical leadership.
We can't just be passive observers. This involves our money, our infrastructure, our country's future.
So here's the thought to leave you with. The next time you hear about a massive infrastructure project, maybe pause for a second.
Ask those critical questions. Who got the contract? How? Was it a fair, clean process?
Or is it just another rerun? Another story of lost funds and broken trust. It's your money, your port, your India.
Let's hope this becomes a catalyst for real change, not just another scandal forgotten by the next news cycle. Keep asking questions. Stay vigilant.